Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The Discord stopped making the don't sound when you press push to talk, so I got worried.
Oh, I disabled that, so I wouldn't even.
I need it
Yeah.
because then I get paranoid. All right. All right. So bear with me. I have no idea how this is gonna go. Just something I figured I'd throw together because it's really important that we learn how to dissect the comp, like the enemy comp in game, and figure out what we need to do. So I figured we'd kind of go over the three-ish types of comps that you've got, and maybe their weaknesses and their strengths, and then like what phase of the fight they excel in, and then what can we do to what with all that knowledge, how should we play? So, um, generally you have dive, you have brawl, and then you have comps that revolve around some kind of win condition. They may not be either dive nor brawl, they may be a combination of the two, but they have revolve around some kind of win condition, like double sniper, Sombra Doom, grab dragon, whatever. Those are comps that may not necessarily be pure brawl because in like grab dragon you could have a Hanzo Sombra, so it's not necessarily just all up in your face, and so that second DPS kind of determines how you play there. But so yeah, win conditions are the really tricky ones, and those are the ones that you need to really look out for. The other one, dive is easy to identify, brawl is easy to identify, but the win conditions ones can be tough. But those are the ones you really have to think about and figure out how to play. So, with dive, can anyone tell me what dive really likes? What is dive trying to do?
Make the other team make a mistake.
That's really good. Yeah. What else?
Take control of high ground.
hmm What do they? What does dive like to see as well? So those are both correct. I was looking for both of them. What does dive like to see? Besides, like how? Put it more simply, how would they like to force you to make a mistake if they could?
Positioning.
Yeah. What about that positioning?
Getting people who are like falling behind.
Yeah, separated. That's exactly it. Yep. So those are things that, dive like. So with that in mind, with all of those things in mind, not just the last one, um, how would you go about maybe countering the dive, beating the dive, so to speak? Not necessarily countering, but beating.
Death ball.
Yes. What about death ball? What about the style of play that death ball likes to do?
Is very brawly and tight knit, so there's not many opportunities for them to dive. If
hmm
they do commit, then they have to brawl with us, and that's a losing fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, what Brawl likes to do is stay together, which you said. So staying together so there's not an easy opportunity for them to dive, right? Okay, so we talked, you solved the separation issue, but we also talked about high ground and forcing them to make a mistake, which kind of goes with what you just answered. So, what about high ground? How do we solve them getting high ground issue? Because like even though you're death ball, even though you're staying together, they still have the high ground, so we can't kill them either. So how do we force them to play our game? How do we solve this high ground issue that they have? This
Take the
advantage
high
that they
ground.
have? Yep, rotate onto the high ground. So we push them for high ground, and that forces them into a better position that we would like them in. So with that in mind, I guess we can. I guess that works out nicely. Let's hop into Overwatch a bit. I think we get to it this early. It's just kind of going with the flow here. And actually, I mean, you guys don't have to hop in. Actually, I can just stream Overwatch.
Oh yeah, I assumed we were gonna do a screen share.
It's on Overwatch, right? The stream.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's no sound though.
I turn the sound off.
Cool.
Anyone know which one? Actually, we'll just rotate through all of them. How about that? All right, Dive. Where on this map do you think Dive would like?
Top of the middle, top right.
They would love these two spots if they can have it, right? So, if Dive does have these high grounds, what can Deathball do? Or what can, not necessarily Deathball, but what can a comp that wants to alleviate the advantages that Dive have, what can they do? I don't want us to think about we have to go Deathball because that's not necessarily true. It's just, I want you to think conceptually. We want to take away high ground. What can we do?
Just push the launch pad.
Yep. Push the bounce pad and drop them off. All right. So let's say we are a let's say we managed to take them off a point and so that we control the point now. How would we stop them with a let's say we were running like Ryan Zarya, Hanzo Kree, Lucio Ana. How do we stop them from retaking what they want, right? Because they want these high grounds, so if they're Dive, they should want these high grounds to some degree. So how would we stop them from taking these high grounds, if we can?
Wait, if they're Dive or we're Dive?
Their Dive. We're a Reinhardt Zarya comp with
We
Ana Lucio.
Contest point.
Well,
They have to touch eventually.
we have point, but how would we stop them from having these high grounds?
Sit on them.
Yeah.
Right? So sit on them. So, but what are they going to do? What did we talk
Go to
about last
point.
time? Yep. And so what's that going to force us to do?
Drop.
Right.
Mhm.
So how can we alleviate? So how can we have our cake and eat it too? Right? How can we keep the high ground but also contest point?
Split the team.
hmm And what problem does that pose?
It helps Dive.
Exactly right. So this is a conundrum that as you're thinking about figuring out how to deal with uh, different comps, these are the kind of situations you're going to run into, right? And that's that like what we've talked about before. That's exactly what they want. You contest point, they have to go to point, then they just take high ground, and then now they get to do their thing, right? Um, so how can we have our cake and eat it too? All right, this is where you have two teams that know exactly what both teams want to do, but now the both teams have to figure out how to run their strategy over the other teams, right? This is Overwatch. This is the strategy game that doesn't exist in ranked, but this is going to exist in scrims, leagues, and tournaments, and this is what you have to figure out how to beat. So let's say we are initially Ryan, Zarya, yeah, Hanzo Kree, Lucio Ana. Does that okay? And go ahead, Laverne. Assume that comp though.
So we could probably leave the Hanzo Kree Ana up top because if Monkey or anyone jumps up there, then he can get flashbanged and killed pretty easily. And then our Lucio, Ryan, Zarya could probably stay together, like right down below, so the Ana is able to give them heals if they need it. And that sort of forces their hand.
Yep, I like it. That's exactly what you would want to do is so you split up. So we arrived at the conclusion that we have to split up. That's just the nature of Overwatch. Sadly there's this point that we have to contest. Unfortunate. Thank you, Jeff. But Dive also really likes to have that high ground. So we want our cake and eat it too because we can't play into their advantage. So your suggestion is to leave people on high ground, preferably Kree, Hanzo, and who? Ana? Is that what you said?
Ana.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Lucio, Ryan, Zarya go to point. All right, I like it.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Let's just hold choke.
That is also a possibility. But you had a suggestion last time why that may was it? No, it was Phantom. He figured out last time why it's viable. Very for sure it's viable, especially depending on what they're running. But what can they do to get around that?
Flank.
Yeah, they can just send Tracer Diva over the
Mhm.
streets over there or through that choke and then touch point, and now we're still forced to go back. But now we can't. We don't even have high ground. Right. And I'm assuming all of us, maybe all of us aren't. Like, if part of us are holding up there, then that's cool, right? But eventually they will force us off a choke because some of them did flank. So both of those are very viable options, especially. But you have to do what Laverne said. You have to hold up there, have someone to hold that high ground. Um,
What about if we hold a little further back and allow them to take the high ground, but like be in a position where we can retake that high ground off of them and
that
push them off?
yeah. So baiting is something very good. Um, would it work on this map?
Not if they take center high ground.
Well, any high ground here. Like, could we? So you're saying we let them in
Mm-hmm.
and then let them on a high ground,
Mm-hmm.
and
Like we
then
would
try
wait in
and
a
retake
small
the high
room or
ground.
something. Yeah. Like as we hear them use jump pad, we're also going to use jump pad and forcing them off onto the point.
Is it worth it?
Mm. If we get depend on who they have. If they have someone who can't get back up there, we can easily pick them off and they pretty much have to reset.
So maybe so give me a comp that you're thinking.
If for them,
Yep.
uh I keep thinking May, but they're probably never gonna run May with dive.
Unless you're Nixel.
Yeah. Um, I'll just say Monkey Ball, Genji, Hanzo, probably, possibly. Mercy, Ana.
Okay. So you're
Most,
saying hide in that choke over there, right?
yeah. Choke or
But,
even back room.
I mean, so in principle, sure. But would they actually really just? Well, one, we're holding there. They can't get to bounce pad, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't get to bounce pad if we're holding there. They're not going to do all this and then go to bounce pad. They're just going
Oh
to
no,
hold point.
I meant
Okay.
on our side. So hold on our side.
Oh, on our
Let
side and let
them,
them in.
because they're gonna want to take high ground anyways.
Hmm.
Then they're gonna be like, "What are they doing?" I mean, I feel like that baiting is only gonna work once, but
So, well, so I don't like. My problem with it is okay. Well, I'm okay with the thought of baiting, whether this is like optimal or not. I'm not really concerned with like whether it would, practical, I should say, not optimal, but practical. Um, because I'm open to, like, I want you guys to be thinking when you see these certain things, what are things that we can do, right? Because if you watch the Philly Toronto match yesterday, um, at first they had Logics in on Toronto side and Philly dumpstered them simply because one person on their team wasn't in, which is Sure4, who also plays in the same slot that Logics is. They sub Sure4 in and it becomes a completely different game. And that's because Sure4 is just a much smarter player and a much more intelligent player, and he's able to lead the team to do crazy strats, and it works. Um, and so that's kind of what, like, things like baiting, things like figuring out what what we're talking about now. What's their objective? How do we stop their objective? And also empower our own objective are the things that all 6 people on this field need to know. It would make you guys such a stronger team if everyone understood what's going on and understood all the same things, so we can you'll be much more more able to counter what they're countering and figuring out their strat and stopping their strat. Um, so that's pretty much the point of today or tonight right now. So like I'm not opposed to debating. I don't really care whether it's optimal or not, but just that you're coming up with something, you're seeing what they want to do, and that you guys decide to do something about it, and not just let them have it. Sometimes letting them have it is the goal, because you guys have something better to do, right? But generally, if you know their advantage, you try not to let them have it. So we're gonna go with that for now. So yeah,
Would it be good to run maybe like an off dive main tank? Like instead of a Zarya, we would either have a ball or a diva who could we would hold like underneath them, and diva would fly, use her jetpack and boop one of them off, and they would either have to engage with us or let their teammate die.
so comp switching. That's the second like point. That's why I gave you guys a comp at first to see if someone would come up with the idea of, well, is there a hero that would let us do this better and easier, right? So Diva was definitely the one I was thinking about. So spot on there. Yeah, like the booping, who cares? I don't care if it were like if they have Ana, then sure, because that's what happened to us, right? They moved Volatile off and they won the fight because we were holding up with Hanzo. We had Hanzo, Lucio, Ana, I think up top. The Lucio didn't necessarily need to be there, but he was, and that's fine. Like not like we went over it. He did a great job protecting our Ana anyway, and so did Hanzo. But Diva ended up flying around, moving our Ana off, and she died. And that was their win condition, right? They realized we just sat on high ground, and they couldn't win the fight unless they got Ana off, and they did. So yeah, that if there's someone stationary that they're trying to protect, then yes, someone like a Diva or even Sombra who can get up there undetected, or a Honda who can go up there and contest them, whatever. A Widow, something. The idea is there a way that we can just make one hero change in order to do what we need to do? Or is it a team strategy change that we need to do? Like, you suggested holding there and coming in, or holding choke, or whatever. Whatever the idea is, whatever the point, like whatever the advantage that we're trying to take away, how do we go about doing it, right? And so comp switching is definitely something that needs to be considered. Like I know I've been giving you guys comps, but there's going to come a time, and I mean probably really soon because you guys are smart and you guys are starting to learn the game really well. Um, that you guys are just free to make your own comps. Um, and this is part of this is the reason why, like, the comp that I give out, I'm not looking at their comp even though I know their comp. I'm just giving you guys a comp and letting you guys roll with it because we just need to learn communication. But at some point you guys are going to need to learn how to counter swap, and if we see a dive like this and we see that they want to take high ground, but low, you go, oh, there's an Ana, let's just get Diva, and Diva can go pester her the whole time. And Diva can just sit there and eat Ana days all day and eat the Ana shots, and she can't heal her team, things like that. So yes, counter swapping. Yeah. Are there any other? Well, Nah, we don't really care about any other heroes. So yeah, let's. Does the cycle through it? Or do I have to change? Oh yeah, it's supposed to cycle through.
What you guys doing, man?
Nerding out. You die on Tarkov finally.
Always, bro. I hate that game.
I
I do
want
too.
to get it.
It's
I'm
a,
scared of the sweats, but I want it.
it's a terrible game.
Get it, bro, so we can have a full squad. That's the only way to live.
It's fun as heck.
Yep.
Just be careful with Zion, though. He'll shoot you in the back.
Only if you just don't tell me where you're at. Got to play support and update me all the time.
Bro,
No, you did, dude. You probably did. You probably did. I shot him. Straight
Are
up
you guys
shot him in the
going
back.
through map strats or something?
Not strats, just concepts, really.
No, okay.
Yeah,
Just play Pharaoh, bro.
I mean, kind of. All right. So let's take dive on this map. What does dive like to do here? What would they like to do here?
Take the high ground.
Hey, go figure, right? Dive kind of likes the high ground. Now, what can we do? If we're the same runs are at comp, what can we do?
Start on the high ground.
Let's assume the beginning of the map. Beginning of the round.
Go straight to high ground.
Yep.
Through the inside.
Go straight to high ground. What if they get there first?
Push them off it. We're brawl.
That's right. If we're brawl. Cool. Is this, compared to the last Oasis map, is this more viable to mock them off a high ground than the other one? As in easier.
I think it depends.
On.
Because if they see us rotating up, they can just drop down. If they see us coming back down, they can go back up.
Well, that's what high ground does.
Yeah, I just think this distance here is shorter.
Yeah.
But that might not be what you're looking for.
No, it's like the answer I'm looking for is like, yes, it is better here because what we didn't point out on City Center, the last one we were on, is that the rotation high ground is incredibly long for a brawl comp. All that way to bounce pad, we lose point instantly. Here, we're not going to lose point, especially if we have a Lucio, which you should be losing a Lucio for brawl comp, at the moment at least. So this rotation is much quicker than on City Center. Well, City Center is a very long rotation. It's not reasonable to run all the way to the high ground from City Center. But here it's much more reasonable, right? So that's something else you have to consider. So they want the high ground. Is it actually reasonable enough for us to contest that high ground? That's something you have to take into account with your comp, right? So that's why the Diva swap you suggested for the last one is probably the better one. Because you guys, now Diva can take care of high ground for you. And the rest of the team doesn't have to go to high ground. Alright? But here, you may not need it. You can just run Zarya. I mean, Diva's also always nice because she can just go up there when she wants. But if we want to play full brawl, we can just walk up there with speed boost. And still be back on, be able to contest point in time. Right? So just something you guys have to think about when you're, counter swapping, counter strategizing against the enemy team. So now, if we are running, so on City Center, the last map, if we're running Ana, what are the issues with running Ana into a dive comp with a brawl comp?
Anna on the dive or Anna on the brawl?
Brawl.
I'm guessing the option of leaving her behind, like falling behind.
Hmm. So naturally, Anna's a sniper. She wants to be at a distance if she can. Um, so why is that a danger?
Because they can just pick her off really easily because they're
Hmm.
dive.
Right?
That's what Dive's looking for.
Yeah. So would you consider a hero swap there?
Yes.
Okay, it's something to consider. Like you can play Ana in the middle of your team. That's a thing. Um, that's definitely an okay thing. Even then, she's still going to be the target, and they're going to do what Laverne said: look for you guys to make a mistake and just separate her oh so slightly, or just drop a Winston bubble on top of her and she can't heal anybody. All those things are possible. Smart teams will do those things. Um, so yes, again, so the reason we point that out is right. You need to think about okay, who on our comp is really weak to their comp. Um, so you have to think: do we consider a hero swap? Or do we just consider a strategy swap? Maybe we just protect our Ana a bit, or maybe Lucio, you're 100% always with Ana to protect against the dive and speed her out. Those are options. Just all that depends on the map, what they're running, how you guys feel. All of those things are uh, reasons that you need to consider when you're making a strategy and trying to fill out, hey, what are we going to do, right? So, so who would be, let's just say who would be a good swap into dive as a support?
Mora.
Why's that?
Uh, playing against dive. You mean?
Yes.
Because she can be inside with us, just spamming heals.
I mean, Ana can do that.
She could, but
She's got Fade to escape.
yeah,
Yeah, right. She's got fade. She has a movement cooldown, which is excellent against dive because dive has to use movement cooldowns to kill somebody. So yes, since she has her own dive-ish kind of cooldown, then yeah, she's a good swap into dive. So yeah, again, think about those things. Sometimes sometimes it's great to run Ana, like if you're on Ilia's Ruins, for instance. Ana's still great there. There's places for her to hide against dive, and there's plenty of long sight lines where you guys can tell where Genji or Tracer are coming from, or whoever the dive targets are, and Ana has 10,000 years of notice, so she can position herself appropriately, right? Um, City Center may not work out so well because it's a fairly small map compared to Ilios Ruins. So she may not see the Tracer flanking soon enough to call her out and ask for help. Again, thinking of map geometry, right? So all those things you guys have to consider. So is this making sense?
yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's flip the switch. Brawl comp, something like a Ryan Zarya, May Reaper, May Kree, Reaper Kree. In your face comps. What do they like to do?
Be in your face.
Go figure, right? Yep. Um. Going back to dive real quick. What phase of the fights do they excel in?
Dive,
Yeah. So we talked about the phases of a fight.
poke.
You sure?
Yes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
No. Good try though.
Damn.
Dive hates poke. The poking phase is what dive wants to avoid. Certain dives. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
What else? What are the three phases generally?
The poke phase, the scouting phase and the fighting phase.
Scouting phases first, and then it goes poke, then combat.
Yeah, I said that, I think.
It's all good. So what phase does dive really excel in?
Combat, I guess.
Uh-uh.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's only one left.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So dive really excels in scouting. One, they have um, their flankers are usually relaying info to them, and they can do it generally from a safe distance and just impossible to catch. Right. So it's the phase that they like. Without good scouting, your dive is useless. Because you need to know where things are ahead of time and where people are going to and whatnot. If you watch like Overwatch League and their dives, you can tell one they already know where the people are rotating and they're making a plan as they're like in rotation, right? And they're pouncing on them before they get set up, and they can only do that because the people that they have assigned to scouting, whether it be Diva, whether it be flankers, whether it be Lucio on high ground. Hey, Celery. Um,
Hi.
you know, y'all not have a scrim tonight?
I mean, we're on the comp ground, so I took a game off to get dinner, and I'm waiting for them to get out of their game.
Ah, nice. The comp, right? I wish I was as
Yep.
good as you.
My alt account grind has been going pretty well.
Oh, really? Come on, that was the one I was actually going to get diamond though.
Hmm?
What happened?
Well, it said it's been going well. I got
Oh, going
3.15.
well. Oh, it's it going down. Okay,
No,
cool,
going well.
nice, awesome, dude. So yeah, that's what Dive likes. So with that, oh, anyway, so now swapping back over to Brawl. Um, we said that they want to get in your face. So with that, what does Brawl hate?
I'm guessing the scouting phase.
Not the phases. Sorry, we're going back to just in general. What does Brawl hate? They like to get close. What do they hate?
Distance.
Hmm They hate distance. They hate maneuverability. Right? They hate the fact that they can't kill you. Is what they hate. They excel in locking down a target and mashing their face in before they can escape. Is what Brawl wants to do. So let's say we are the dive team now on Ilio City Center against a Brawl team. All right, what are we looking to do? We just answered all these just in reverse.
Um, well, if we're on high ground, we can easily just shoot them from high ground while they're at the bottom ground.
hmm What's so good about dive and high ground?
We can drop down. Like if they push us, we can drop down. They'll drop down too, but we can just easily get back up
Right.
faster than they can.
hmm Anyone else? Cool.
We're faster than them, so we can get away.
Yeah, I mean maneuver. Yeah, I mean all that's encompassed in being able to
Yeah.
outmaneuver them and get back to high ground and just leave the fight whenever we decide.
Not whiffing jumps, getting back up.
None of us would ever do that, right? We're too good.
No,
We're,
no,
we're too good.
no, not at all.
Oh man, that's funny. Trust me, old my Winston's play is nothing to be happy about either. Um, so let's take control again. What about dive versus brawl? What can you see a potential issue being?
We're gonna have to touch the low ground eventually.
Right. And so we don't want to. Unfortunately, we can't have a sustained fight against brawl for a long time, right? Because we're squishy. We're fast, but we're squishy, kind of deal. Um, So like, so again, what are we trying to do? Force out mistakes, find someone isolated, right? How what do you think we could go about that?
Soft diving.
Yeah, soft diving, and let's assume we have Winston Diva, Tracer Genji. What are all things that dive can do to force out mistakes? Soft diving's one with the tanks. You know, tank ping ponging like we talked about last week. What are some other things? What is something? What is a word we use a lot? I know that narrows it down a bunch, huh?
Winnable. No, I'm just kidding.
That's only Carpe.
How about a hint?
Starts with an M, ends in its direction.
Misdirection.
Whoa, you guys are brilliant.
I'm pretty
Yes,
smart.
you are, man. Yeah. So misdirection, right? We always have you as tracer, right? Looking for someone open and just poking them in the back, and then you're giving us scouting information and calling out targets. And not only that, like even if you're not able to do that, you just being in the back forces them to either like. So what would they have to do? You know, if they were running like if they had an Ana and they're a brawl comp, what would you being in the back force them to have to do?
Figure out how to shield both sides or look one way.
You're close. You're in that ballpark. So they would have to rotate, right? They would have to rotate in some way or do some peeling of some kind to get their tracer off their backs, right? Um, with that, how would they go about doing that? Say they had Ryan Zarya Kree. How could they go about saving their honor from our obnoxious Nox?
Keep a McCree with her for flash.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What is Flash? What is
A
that?
stun.
PC.
Yeah. What else is it?
A cooldown.
It's a cooldown, right? So they would have to expend cooldowns to protect their Ana from our tracer. So now piece it together. Um, what was one of the goals that Dive really like to do? Like what that not that they like to do, what that they're looking for? Let's run through them again. And what are they trying to force? What are they trying to do to the enemy team?
Separate them.
Separate and what else?
Force mistakes.
Force mistakes, right? That's how you force a mistake. And not necessarily forcing a mistake, but you're forcing resources. Forcing out resources. So it doesn't have to be a mistake, but you're forcing out resources. All we did was poke the Ana in the back, who and our tracer may or may not had to have extended too many blinks, which she has three of, and they come back fairly quickly, compared to a Kree flashbang. Um, like she gets one before Kree has his flashbang back. So, um, we do all of this soft diving, we do all of this misdirection to force out Zarya bubbles, to force out Flash, to force out all these things that can hurt our dive. right? And then when we see all of these things being used, then we can commit a hard dive, which we're going all in because they have nothing to stop us at that point. So that's what dive against brawl would be looking for. Um, the reason it's so hard for dive is if the team, they have generally brawl has a ton of sustain, so they can just sit there on point all day long. But this is, but that's the chess match between dive and brawl is they have to force us on the point to where they excel, but we have to make them play in our wheelhouse by making them use all of those things that keep them alive, and then we gank them, right? Um, so when you see a dive versus brawl matchup, think about those things that we talked about right here, and you know, try and figure out right how to accomplish our win condition, or can it even be accomplished? Maybe just mirroring the types, or it will maybe better, right? Switching off from dive to brawl might just be better. Um, like when may a time like when may be a good time to swap from dive to brawl if they're running brawl? You can figure that out by remembering what dive wants to do. So if dive can't do what it does, might be time to switch. So when is a good time maybe that you might want to switch off dive?
Maybe if they're running snipers.
Nah, it's don't worry about just worry about that they're running brawl and think about what we talked about already. What does dive like to do? Let's revisit that because these things you guys just need to know. So what does
Yeah,
dive like to do?
distraction.
Okay, what else?
High ground.
High ground, all right. What else? Anything else?
Cooldowns.
Okay, all of those things are true. So which one of those would be the most important, do you think, in determining whether you can actually do this comp or not?
High ground.
Right. So put it together. When is a good time to maybe switch off dive?
When we can't retake high ground.
There you go, right? So that's one of those tells, right? We would practice okay. Laverne won't know this, but remember you guys when we did the practices, what comp were we practicing a while back? Just having fun with and learning how to communicate,
Dive.
right? What kind of dive? What were we running?
Cyber dive.
Yeah, right. Well, not quite cyber dive. Um,
Sort of.
yeah, sort of. We
Sombra
had,
Tracer.
yeah, we had Winston Monkey Ball, Sombra Tracer, right? The Boston Uprising comp. Before Boston Uprising ran it, mind you. Um, when did it get hard to run that comp?
Are you asking like specifically a moment?
Uh, it's in general. There was always a time when that comp became hard to run.
They were. I mean, at least from my perspective, hard countering flanks.
Okay, that's a good one. I wasn't thinking of that. That's a good one. So that's a consideration. Are they just straight up countering you? What else?
Taking us off one by one.
I mean, they shouldn't do that. All right, your dive, you should be able to escape. So that's not really a reason. If they're picking you off one by one, um, you might just be being outskilled or not communicating. So that's not really a reason.
Were they holding high ground the entire time?
No, it's a general answer.
Okay. Because I don't remember that.
Nah, dude, I don't think when we ran that we never had trouble with high ground. We kind of abused it. We
Yeah.
always took the high ground. You can't have high ground against Winston Ball.
Maybe we ran it on maps that don't benefit high ground.
Oh, you're getting close. Yeah. Yeah.
Cart.
Close. What about cart? What's certain area of cart maps?
The push.
What certain areas?
The choke areas or like the narrow.
Yeah, the narrow arrows, right? So that's the main one I'm thinking, right? So when you get to like a point 3 of an escort or a hybrid, generally it's pretty narrow, it's pretty chokish. Um, Sombra Tracer don't have anywhere to really go. We always split them up and they surrounded. They were able to just go to point B, set themselves up, and then come back and do something. Or when we got to point B, they were able to go past point B and then come back and do something, right? They had room to maneuver. But on a point 3, there's a dead end at some point. And there's a lot less room for dive to breathe, right? So maybe that's the thing. Like when that's okay. So that's the thing to consider. So there is a specific map that we usually run in scrims, where I usually say, okay, on this point, switch to this comp, a brawl comp.
66.
Right. And what's the reason for that?
Because it's a shitty map.
I love 66. I love 66.
I do too, but like I can't do so badly in it.
It's all good. Yeah, but why? Why do you think we switch on 3?
I think because that high ground is so low and easy for their team to push up on.
Yeah,
Like
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really any room for dive to maneuver. There is high ground, but
A lot of close corners.
yeah, a lot of close corners and one other one, bonus round. What's a really big tell that dive really hates? Well, let's go to this. Let's do this first. What phase does dive hate?
Oh.
You're right. And so, what does Route 66.3 have? That
Long hallways
yeah,
to
exactly right. Widow would murder us there. Hanzo would murder dive there. Um, there's not generally a place to stage, right? The staging place is the safe place where people can, it's where you come to relax and chill and, take your shoes off and watch the Saints not go to the Super Bowl again, and all that. So that's that staging area. Uh, there really isn't one in 3. Not a nice one. So that's where you switch that. So, something like that for all the reasons that we talked about is why you would switch to brawl. Um, any questions for those right there? Does it make sense?
Yes.
What phase does brawl excel in?
Combat.
Right. You don't want to fight brawl. They just win, unfortunately. Kind of what's wrong with the game right now is brawl just kind of wins. It's getting there though. It's getting there. So what is a weakness of brawl?
CC.
No, brawl has the CC.
Oh.
They got that in abundance. Think about, so let's go over again. What does brawl like to do?
Push.
What do they like to do? How do they like to fight?
Tight, close quarters.
Right? They
Oh,
want to be in your
distance.
face. Yes, right. Right? It's you can figure out how to beat them just by looking at their comp and going, okay, what's the opposite of their comp? Right? They want to be up close. So let's not get anywhere near them. All right? That's a thing that can happen. So, snipers are really good against brawl. Farah's good against brawl. Sombra's a sneaky chick. She's good against brawl. She can do things. So, but yeah, that's right. You gotta You got to think like that. When you press tab after 15 seconds and you see their comp, it's okay to run back and spawn and go, okay, we're switching here. It's fine. Like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're saving yourself ult charge because you're just going to probably lose the next team fight if they're hard countering you. So might as well save yourself the ult charge, right? Or save you guys from giving them a team fight worth of ult charge plus healing. So, yeah. So be thinking about that. Mm, all right. So then there are comps that have an absolute win condition. So what we talked about with Dive and Brawl, they don't really have win conditions. They have there are win conditions, sure. Like if you're running Sombra, then you're waiting on a hack, but you're really thinking about the general win conditions are misdirection, taking high ground and suffocating them and making them use cooldowns and forcing them out with a mistake. Brawl is trying to get in close, CC them, and murder them before they can escape. Is what Brawl wants to do. But there's win condition comps like Hackfist, Sombra Doom. They're waiting on Sombra and Doom to combine to eliminate someone with really high bursts. You have Grav Dragon where you just combo the two ults, Grav Dragon. You have Double Sniper where it's just a greedy comp. We're looking to take your head off. Those are all just straight up win conditions that the comp has to follow or else the comp doesn't work. So these are generally the three comps. Dive, Brawl, and win condition comps are the type you're going to see. Win condition comps are the toughest because after all we just talked about, you have to figure out what is their win condition, right? It's very obvious if you see a Hanzo Zarya what they're going to do, right? So you guys need to see like, okay, are we running out on a map for whatever reason? We can't do that against Hanzo Zarya, not really, because every other team fight they just win because they're gonna have Grav Dragon, right? So you need to realize, okay, we need a defensive ult for this. So we go back and swap the Honor Bap 2A Zenyatta or Lucio. Or a Widowmaker just consistently doesn't let Zarya play the game. That'd be cool too. Probably not gonna happen. Um,
I'll try.
right, go for it, dude. I believe you can do it. Right, so you gotta realize and look at the enemy comp and figure out what they want to do. So let's take those three comps a bit. So if you see double snipers, let's take apart that comp. It can be Ryan Zarya double sniper or Winston Diva double sniper. Um, Ignore the tanks though, because they're not as important as the DPS in this right now, and as far as what we're trying to do. Um, what is what does double sniper like to do?
Pick.
Yeah, right. They like to shoot you in the face. Um, what do they need in order to do that?
Line of sight.
Exactly, right? They need LOS to you. Um, so again, take that logic. How do you beat double sniper? Or at least mitigate it.
Fight out of their line of sight.
Right, right. Take the fight to where you want to take the fight. Now, if the enemy team is any good, they're not gonna let you do that. They're just gonna wait for you to hop into their line of sight, or they're gonna maneuver and force you into their line of sight. Right. So, but that's what you're looking for. You can still mitigate that line of sight to a degree as well. So with double sniper, Widow, Hanzo, what are they lacking? What else are they lacking? They need line of sight, but with that strong pick power, with that strong one-shot capability, what are they lacking?
Burst damage.
That's true. Yes. Can you go into detail for me?
Um, Well, Widow and Hanzo pressure is going to make them go into defense mode. But we can't really do anything about the. I guess Hanzo could do something about the shield, but not as much as someone who's more bursty like Junkrat and McCree to just outfight, outbrawl them pretty much.
Ah, so you're saying they don't have their front line's pretty weak.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a way you can play it, right? So, assuming what kind of comp would you choose to effectively do that strategy? Let's not all speak at once.
Uh, maybe a front line that has a little bit more fight in them. So like
Yeah.
BAP.
What kind of comp is that?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know the name. It's not Dive or Brawl.
Why wouldn't it be?
Uh, I guess Brawl then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not hard. I'm not looking for any no trick answers here. We're talking about three different comps. All the comps that you're going to possibly see to a degree in this game are dive, brawl, and a comp with a specific win condition. So yeah, it's not a trick question. Yeah, brawl, right? Brawl would effectively do your strategy, punch them in the face before they can kill us, right? That is a fine thing to do, right? Especially if you have been playing against their widow and know that she's not really that good, you can just straight up disrespect is an okay thing to do in Overwatch. If you just feel like she can't hit her shots, just assume you're always in a 6v5 and just ignore her. That's not a bad play if the widow has proven that she can't take you guys out. Disrespect is perfectly okay to do in Overwatch. So yeah, punch them in the face because why? Tell me again. Phantom.
Yes.
Tell me.
Tell you what.
Why would we choose Brawl into Double Sniper?
Well, it kind of depends on the map, but I would kind of like think shield in brawl into double sniper would probably be to like. Well, if we have a Lucio, we can like force our way around the map to try to get one by one to force them off the high ground.
Nox.
Um, have a stronger front line.
Exactly. Right. So, all right. So I'm asking if this stuff makes sense. If it doesn't, please tell me, right? Because this is on you guys. Because you guys are gonna be the ones that are out there on the field having to do all these decisions, split second. So if this stuff isn't understanding, if you're not understanding it, then let me know. All right. So what's up? Is it too confusing? Am I not explaining it well? Let me know. Like, what's up? Somebody.
I got it.
Well, you're not speaking. Anyone can answer. What's up?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like different between like talking about it and doing it. So like I get it. It's just one I would have to like do it to like practice it.
I mean, sure, but if you don't understand it conceptually, then you can't do it, right? Like, you know how they say if you can't explain it to someone else, then you don't know it yourself?
Yeah.
So if you guys can't answer my questions, then you really don't understand it. So I need, like, we're here to get you guys with the understanding portion. Because that's how, like, when you hear me shot calling in scrims and I'm just saying, play like this, do this, it's because I understand what their win condition is. And I have the experience, but it's also because I've done this exact thing is I've had to sit down and study and understand and do the classroom work so I can go out there on the field and do it. Um, so this is what you guys need to get as well because you guys want to go on attorneys and stuff. You guys are going to be going up against people who know this stuff. And when you pick a comp, they're going to know what you're wanting to do. So you're going to also need to know what they need to do, what they're wanting to do, and figure out how to beat that. So like if you can't tell me or answer the questions, then either like I need to know if I'm explaining it wrong. Do I need to go about it a different way? Because you guys have to get this. So are we understanding or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yeah, I'm understanding a little bit more than I did before.
What are you fuzzy on?
The team composition's a little bit like um the split second decisions, like you're saying, like when we're in team fights and all that, the split seconds.
Yeah, but what about this session tonight? Are you not understanding?
No, this session tonight, like it was like it's getting better. The part about dive and brawl and all that, it was good, and then we switched over to double snipers and long team fights, and then brawl, and it kind of got fuzzy at that point.
Okay. Let's all right, so tell me what does Dive like to do?
Well, dive likes the scouting phase and the mistakes as well as like picking people off for who have those made those mistakes.
Mhm. What area of the map do they like?
High ground.
What's the unfortunate nature of the game that makes Dive hard? Like what about maybe say this map? What can they do to make your life a bit hard?
Take control of high ground.
Right? What else can they do? What are all the things that make you have to maybe play in a way that you don't want to play?
Play objective.
Play objective, right? That's one. What else would a brawl comp maybe do to make Dive hell?
Play under the bridge.
Hmm. And like play in places that you can't dive initially, right? So, that'd definitely be an something they could do. Um, if you're a brawl comp, so say, say if you're the dive comp going against a brawl comp on this point, what are some things you could do? Say we have Monkey Diva, Tracer Genji.
If we're those characters,
Yep, against a brawl comp.
The misdirection would come into play.
That's one.
force them to push us on high ground and then drop them out in the open and then go back to high ground.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know of a way you could force them. So it could force you off a high ground. Um, I guess they could if you. I guess if you cap point first, then they could. But I don't know if there's really a way to force if you could force them to take the high ground from you. And they may seem that it's advantageous to try to, but I don't think they could force you, or you could force them to do it.
Maybe soft diving then.
Yeah, how would you soft dive? What is soft diving?
Not fully committing to a kill, kind of like poking and then going back
Hmm.
and possibly getting a pick.
Yeah, that's possible. You can definitely force out a mistake and get a kill at the same time it happens. Um, what do the tanks do in soft diving?
Ping pong.
When possible, when would you ping pong? Under what conditions would you ping pong?
when
Oh,
they're on
if
point.
point, yeah.
If what?
Point is ours.
Correct. Yeah, good job. Um, okay. What does Brawl like to do?
In your face.
Yeah. What's a weakness of Brawl?
Distance. So maybe run like a Hanzo. Oh, well, you already gave us a comp. What was the comp again?
I mean, it can be any Brawl comp you feel. There's May Reapers, there's Reaper Kree, there's May Kree.
Or for our
There's-
dive?
If say you're Brawl, say we're Brawl
Oh,
against.
we're brawl.
Yeah, you can say against that same dive comp.
What do we want to do?
Yeah, what would you want to do against that dive comp?
Force them off high ground and take control of it.
If you could,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there a time where you may feel that that's not viable to do?
When. Mm,
Probably when they keep booping us off, and we're like we can't really take control of high ground.
That's the thing. I mean, they may just be like it may be at a dangerous area. Like here is pretty dangerous. So Lucio could
Or
hang.
Winston Primal or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. Lucio up there, Winston Primal. If you're all tracking, maybe you don't want to be up there. Diva boops are really good. All of those things could make you wonder if you should take that or not. What else?
so at any point in the match, are
Yeah.
you asking?
Yeah. In general, yeah. Let's make it easy. Any point in the match. Yeah.
So probably not when the point isn't active.
Well, let's ignore the state of the point.
Okay.
Let's just think about where the high ground is. What does Brawl lack?
Distance.
Kind of. I mean, you know, sure, but what does Dive have that Brawl doesn't? Why is
Mobility.
right? So they lack mobility. That's why you generally run a Lucio with it. Um, so what about taking high ground may not be advantageous for Brawl? Why can Dive take high ground so easily? Because of mobility, right?
Hmm.
Um, if the high ground is too far away, it may not be advantageous to take, right? Like on City Center, the bounce pad is a thought, especially if you don't control point, then sure. But if you control point, is it really worth going all the way to that high ground? Because it's so far away.
No,
Like,
just wait for him to come to you.
yeah, especially when you can just hide on the other side of the pillar, right? And they
Mhm.
have to do something. Um, but here, it's fine because it's a pretty short walk. That's not long at all to just push someone off the high ground. Um, shoot, that's not good. I'm on call, so that sucks. Um, yeah. So that's just those are things to consider. What heroes do they have? What else do they have? And then would it take too long to traverse? As to why you may or may not want to take the high ground. Let's see. What is something against a Tracer Genji, and say you're running a brawl comp with maybe a Zenyatta, do you want to look out for?
Them picking off the Zen.
Uh-huh. What? So if you see that your Zen is threatened, what might you guys have to do?
Fall back.
Fall back, right? And what's the technical term for that?
Peel
Not for falling back, no.
or kite.
Regroup.
Uh,
Well, so like you're only worried about the flank being flanked generally when you don't have to move. So, see if you already have point, if a tracer's behind you or around you or a Genji, it may force you to rotate, right? So like you
Mhm.
said, kite, but we use that in a different sense. Like we
yeah.
talked about the other day, kiting backwards and giving them space to allow, maybe our Hanzo to work or something, um, or to force them to come to us in a sense. So, um, it's something you guys need to know that is a weakness of your guys' comp, because in rotation is where dive likes to strike, because you guys aren't in a set formation. You guys are usually rotating from safety to not safe to safety, right? You have to normally rotate through an open area or through a dangerous area, right, to get to that other safe area, and then it's in the middle is where dive likes to strike. So you guys need to recognize that, and and then that is your weakness, and figure out, hey, uh, how can we best guard against this? Maybe have a brig escort someone across, who knows, right? Things like that. So those are things as you know your strengths of the comp, but you also need to know your weaknesses. Okay. Um, so y'all still good?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all still good to go a little bit longer, or y'all need to? Is that enough for the night? Honestly,
I'm good.
you guys good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we talked about double sniper. They like open sight lines. They excel in the scouting phase because Widow's the ultimate scouter, because not only can she scout, but she can also kill. So there's no scouter better than Widow. And we talked about what could we do. What's one of the things we could do to well, because they have double sniper. If they're running double sniper, what is the weakness of theirs?
Their
Line of
front
sight.
line.
Front line.
Right. I mean, line of sight is technically a weakness if we play it really well. Um, but yeah, front line is one of the biggest. So what could we do against the front line?
Push.
Right. We could abuse their front line really easily. Um, Now, say that you are a dive comp against double sniper. Doesn't matter. Ignore the tanks. Just double sniper. So what what phase does dive hate?
Poke.
Poke.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What does double sniper excel at?
Poke.
Poke.
So how do we play to our advantage while minimizing theirs? That's a toughie. because you have to put
But
together like the whole comp.
are we dive or are we double
We are
sniper?
we are dive against double sniper, and say we have Tracer Genji. Let's go. Let's pick it apart. We're wanting Winston Diva, Tracer Genji. Who on that comp hates poke? Why does dive hate poke with the characters in that comp? Like who in the comp hates poke?
Diva?
That's one.
Monkey.
Right. Monkey Diva are the ones that really hate poke because you really want them going in at high health. Now Tracer Genji do hate poke too, but they're the ones that generally aren't going to take it because they have abilities that get rid of that poke. Not only get rid of that poke, but they can evade the poke really well. I mean, that's the big thing. Monkey Diva can't really evade the poke, right? So, um, with that said, Tracer and Genji are kind of your answer to getting around the poke phase, right? Now, what did we say earlier that heroes like Tracer and Genji are really good at doing?
Misdirection.
That too. What phase are they really good at? What do the
Um,
flank heroes really provide in dive that dive really needs? That if you don't
Scouting.
do exactly,
Yeah.
if you don't do
Scouting.
that scouting, they're trash. They're useless in a
I
sense.
feel attacked. I feel attacked.
Good. No. Um, so you combat the poke phase by having good scouting because now your Winston and Diva know where to not poke, in a sense, right? Um, well, they know where to not peek so they don't get poked. And then with that, against double sniper, what may be the job of the flank DPS as well as scouting? They're there for a reason.
Pester the
Yeah,
snipers.
right. And what does pestering the snipers do?
Takes pressure off our tanks
Right. Why? How?
because they're
making
not shooting the tanks. They're
Exactly. Right.
defending themselves.
So what phase did the Tracer Genji just take away from their team?
The
Poke.
poke.
Right. And that's where their comp likes to excel, right? So we just essentially took away the reason for their comp, right? So that's how you look at, hey, how do we beat double sniper? Oh, wait, they're really good at poke. Well, let's take that away. Tracer Genji, go get him. Sick 'em, boy, kind of deal. Um, so you have your Tracer Genji deal with, the the Widow, the Hanzo, whoever is, um, you know, it's dependent. It's always going to change, and then sometimes you may not even need to deal with the double snipers. It all just depends. Um, and to go in a little deeper, what makes what makes double sniper besides the one-shot ability? What makes double sniper really tough to dive?
uh,
The cooldowns they have.
Exactly. Yeah, the cooldowns that they have. They can get away from an initial dive. That's something Genji and Tracer are really good at doing, right? If they take away a Widow grapple, now she's stuck. Now she's just any other stationary hero. Same with Hanzo. If he uses a double jump, he's not getting away. He can't get anywhere, right? So that's what, we talk about. Dive likes to create mistakes, likes to burn cooldowns. That's what you're looking for, those kind of things. Whether it's a brawl comp or double sniper or any other kind of comp, you're looking to wear out their resources is what you're thinking, right? We're making them make a mistake. We're forcing them in a bad direction. We're forcing them to make, uh, to make mistakes, to burn cooldowns, and then we pounce on that. We pounce on that opportunity. Um, Grab Dragon, another win condition type comp. How might you go about defending that? Your comp doesn't matter. How would you? How might you go about defending the Grab Dragon?
Yelling at Colo to eat it.
Yes. Thank you. That would make all of our lives easier if you could actually eat something besides just cereal.
Well, one actually ult track, so we know that they have it.
That's always good. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Try to spread out a little bit to deny them more than 2 kills.
Do I know?
Are we okay? So we're brawl or it's just
It the That should give you a hint. The comp doesn't matter necessarily. Something about the comp matters, but the comp itself, whether the type of comp doesn't matter, but something about the comp matters.
well the support ult,
Exactly. Yeah.
defensive ult.
Right. So that's huge. Um.
Save it for that.
Exactly. Other than just shutting down the hero or eating their ults, there's no other way to survive Grab Dragon. If they force you, if they force you to burn your beat or trance, then it's just game, right? It's just GG's. They win that fight. So yeah, you need to have a support ultimate for that. So these are, we're just going over these things because, right, these are things that we can't, um, we can't not think about. We're going to start seeing people run these various comps, and we're going to I'm going to start putting it on y'all soon to start making these decisions, right? And it's going to start being part of just the VOD review processes. Could we have done something better as far as comp wise? Till now, we haven't been really been caring, but you guys are getting to the point to where now you guys can start to care. You know, I always say you guys are free to switch, but I understand that we haven't had the talk of, well, maybe what can we switch to, right? In regards to what they're doing, right? But the step before that is realizing what is their comp win condition. So, last exercise, I want you guys to tell me the win condition of some comps. Let's go Winston Diva. Let's go Winston Diva, Tracer Farah, Lucio Mercy. What's the win condition of their comp? Think about all the heroes. So what is it? What is that comp?
So I would think that their win condition would
What
be
what what type of comp is it?
oh
Dive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All right. Now, what do you think the win condition is?
boosted Farah barrage.
Okay. I should say this first. I said it last time, but it's not something that I expected to just know right now. But the best teams are the teams that know how to win the neutral, and not really win the neutral, but they know how to win the fight without ults. Like they're running a game plan and they're planning on winning the fight without ults. Like they have a set way that they're running this, that they're going to take this fight, and if that works, then they win that fight without ultimates. That's how you want to plan every fight. Like it's cool. Like when we were running double shield, what was our plan? Nox pincer. Like we pincer with Nox, he grows in the back and we pincer in, right? And we squish them from both sides. Very effective, right? That was our default kind of, this is what we're doing. And this is how we're going to run this comp. Ultimates are, you should think of them as chariots on tops. But you shouldn't think of them as, we have to use these things, we have to use these ults or we don't win. We don't win this fight. You should be thinking, how are we attacking this fight without ultimates? Is how you should be thinking about every fight. So, with that in mind, assuming no ultimates, what is their, so we talk about tempo shifts, right? What is their tempo shift in that comp? In this Pharah, Tracer, Dive, what is their tempo shift? What's their go button?
Tracer calls out a diveable opponent.
That's one. That's if someone's flat out in the open, sure. What else?
Farah separates their
gets-
team.
That's something too. What else? That's plenty. Did you have something, Laverne?
Farah gets a pick. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's huge, right? And not just a pick, but just a direct, right? If she hits on in the face, that's and she has to nade herself. That's a go because now Ana can't heal herself. That's an okay go. Or you can just tell that to Tracer, and Tracer's like, oh, okay, I'll take this duel. It's kind of cheating because Ana, generally is cheating because Ana not only has sleep drop, but she has nade. So now Tracer has to do, twice as much work. Granted, Ana does too because of recall. I hate that, but it's the fact of the way it is right now. But that's a nice go button. That's a nice info for the dive team to know about. Ana no nade and she's wide open. Hey, let's go for it. Right. And then another one might be just the other way around. Tracer gets someone low and she calls that out to Pharah, and now Pharah just all she has to do is get some splash damage on that character. Right. So those are all win conditions without ults of that comp. That you want to think about how are they generally going to run this comp. Let's say they have Ryan Zarya, Hanzo Kree, Lucio, Ana, and they're on this map right here that I'm on. What might their plan be? Their general plan?
Hold high ground.
Yeah. Right? Who on that team likes high ground?
Hanzo and Kree.
And who else?
Ana.
Uh-huh, right. Those three
Mhm.
really like that high ground. So, think about that when you see that comp or when we run these comps, what is our goal? Right? What is their goal? And we want to deny them high ground. Okay. Under no circumstances, if we can help it, do we let them have this high ground? Right? You got to be thinking about that on every map, every fight, every round, every point. What is their comp trying to do? What is their comp trying to accomplish? Um, what if they're running Ryan Zarya, Kree Sombra? No, what if yeah, Kree Sombra, Lucio Mora.
What was it again?
Ryan Zarya, Kree Sombra, Lucio Mora. Don't think about ults. Just think about how might they just be playing this game.
Still holding high ground, but waiting for a hack.
Right, yeah. Waiting for a hack, and what other general uh, thing do flanker DPS do? What do they provide? What's that M word?
Misdirection.
Crap. Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Right. So Sombra may just be making you turn her head. You know, a thing with Sombra now is you don't necessarily have to hack. You just have to. Sometimes it's just beneficial to just decloak and shoot. Right. If someone has used an important cooldown, that you're wanting to target. Why hack them? Their cooldown's already gone. Just shoot them now. You know. So she can just in general provide misdirection, but also hack. And so like Orion needs to know that there's a Sombra around. He needs to be able to flick his shield around really quick when Sombra gets to hack him, so he can stop the hack from coming through. And then the team needs to know, okay, we need to start shooting the Sombra so she can't get the hack off, right? Because shooting Sombra interrupts hacks. If you didn't know, I'm not sure. So yeah, things like that, right? That's how you plan around facing a Sombra and protecting. We always say protect our Reinhardt. That's how you protect a Reinhardt. Um, so let's take that comp and now think about alts. What alts? Ryan Zarya, Kree Sombra, Lucio Moira. How might they approach it with alts?
The same comp, the Ranzaria
Yeah.
Krisombra.
Uh-huh.
EMP High Noon.
EMP High Noon. What else?
Shatter High Noon.
Shatter High Noon. I mean, sure, they could, yeah. What else?
EMP Grav. And we just rush into them.
I hope they wouldn't do it, but they could. What else?
EMP Shatter as well.
Right. So all of those things. What was the one alt that you guys said a lot in those combos?
EMP.
So who might we need then in order to stop this comp from excelling? What kind of thing do we now need
A
The
defensive
stun?
ult.
as defensive ult? Stun is
Oh.
nice. I mean, if you see her decloaking and you have flashbang, go for it, please. That's the ultimate BM move against the Sombra. So yeah, right. We need a defensive ult. So if we're not running a defensive ult, we need to be thinking about it. And then if we are running the defensive ult, right, what does that person need to do when we ult track EMP? You may or may not know this. But you can logically deduce it though.
Say again?
What does that person, that defensive ult, what do they need to do in order?
Hide.
Right. Hide from the EMP. EMP, we've said I think 3 out of 4 of the combos we mentioned were EMP. So we can see that their comp revolves around this EMP. We can't let our EMP win condition or defensive condition be hit by the EMP. So he needs to hide, right? So we need to be thinking about that. Like everyone needs to know this, just in case, just for some reason, maybe he's or she is playing, in a certain way, or maybe like we talked about, Lucio can go help Kree or Reaper. We go, hey, no, this is not the time for that. You need to go hide, right? He may forget. They may forget. So everyone needs to know that this is what the team plan is, right? And we help each other and remind each other that this is the plan. So everyone needs to be on the same page when it comes to these things. Yeah. So all this making sense? Is it starting to come together a little bit?
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Um, that's pretty much it. It's just wanted to get across, right? Thinking about certain comps, thinking about like analyzing the comps, seeing what type of comp is it? Is it brawl? Is it kind of mid range? Is it dive? Do they have a certain win condition? And figuring out, okay, what do we need to do? What do they want? Oh, they really like high ground. We got to take it from them, or we give it to them and we play a different way, right? You can give them high ground, just play in a corner, and force them to have to travel to you. That's okay. That's something. They have to use moving cooldowns to get to you. Okay, fine. And we'll take that trade. If that's a concession you guys are willing to make, that's fine. Maybe you have ultra stun. Kree, Kree Brig. We have 2 stuns. Okay, we don't really care. Come into us if you dare. Maybe we got Kree Reaper, and just okay. You really want to play this game? We'll let you play it. Good luck, kind of deal. Um, but analyzing the comp and realizing how you guys want to play is huge, and how you need to play is huge. Realizing the map geometry and are they running dive on, I don't know, King's Row? Not really that good on B, right? So you don't really care if they're running dive. Uh, right? You guys just play brawl and you guys just kind of win because there's not really high ground they can take. None that you really care about anyway. So, are they running brawl on? It's kind of a meme because they actually brawl is just really strong. But if you're like on Watch Point Gibraltar on the first 2 points, you generally want to run dive if you can. Um, right? You just let them because you have all the high ground in the world and they can't touch you. Literally, you just jump the spaceship. um, and this high ground surrounding them everywhere. So if you guys are really good at dive and there's plenty of places for a Tracer to dominate and Charmer to dominate, that it could be really advantageous for you. That whole map is just advantageous for you guys until you get to 3. Then Brawl is pretty good there, kind of deal. So recognizing the map geometry, um, where is what really good at, and do you guys really care that they have that advantage and whatnot? You guys will learn now that it's in your head, and you'll start thinking about it when you see their comps. You guys will learn when stuff is good. When do we need to take away their advantage? When do we not need to take away their advantage? Should we do we need to counter swap? Do we just like straight up the whole comp, or do we just need to change one hero to deal with this? Like swap the diva on City Center, and she now can control the high ground herself. If they have an Ana, we can have her boop diva, the diva boop her off or whatever. All those things. So, but I just wanted to get you guys thinking about it and having it in your head because this is kind of the next step, right, to becoming a full-fledged kind of team deal. So, any questions?
Nope.
Not that I can think of.
Cool. Yeah, and as always, if you have any, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer or sit in and re-talk if anyone needs it. So yeah, next meeting will be Wednesday. I know Laverne, you won't be. Have fun. We're not jealous of you. We certainly don't hate you at all for having a wonderful time. So.
I would wear a Soul Shrubbery shirt, but I don't have one.
Yeah, Lame needs to get on that. Come on, man. Bruh.
I know.
Yeah, have fun, dude. Be safe. Tell us all about it. Give us pictures.
I will try to be safe, but
No guarantees.
no
I got it.
promises.
Yeah, all right. Gotta have fun.
Yeah, if you don't hear from me next week, I'm dead.
But for real. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, he's going to PAX, so he's gonna have a ton of fun.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah. Cool. Well, if nothing else, well, Lux, do you have anything?
No, not really, honestly.
Cool.
Don't wanna overfill the glasses there.
Yeah, no, it's it got pretty full. It got pretty heavy.
Hey, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. We all been there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we had a fun 2 seasons of that garbage. Yeah, if nothing else, you guys are free to go. Thank you guys for coming. It's been recorded and I'll post it whenever it gets finished processing. So, yeah, you guys have a good night.
You too.